Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're playing setup chess, where each side gets 39 points of material to place to create their starting position. My goal is to win one game. Let's get started with game number one. Alright, game number one, we do get the black pieces, and one of the things that I remember from this variant is firstly being very annoyed by how powerful bishops are, and rooks I guess as well. And then learning to use that to my advantage and being quite fond of just putting down a whole bunch of bishops that see across the entire board. Oh, and Jerem says, I'm a subscriber. Thanks for watching. That's so funny. I think that led them to not play in time, so I will queue up again, and we might get paired. We do, in fact, get paired. This time, however, I get the white pieces, which is quite nice. I will start by placing a bishop on the board. Now, you'll notice that we can only place pieces on the first 3 ranks. So inherently, the center will be open. Actually, the entire center all the way across the board will be open when the game starts, which is even more reason to put bishops down on the board because they can see across the entire thing. Okay, we get 2 center pawns. It'd be pretty funny if they just made like a normal chess setup. But we'll continue by doubling up bishops on the long diagonal. And I think ultimately I'm just going to sprinkle bishops around the board and try to look into their position as much as possible. I don't think they thought that I saw the first one. That's awesome. We do get another pawn down on the board. We'll double up on the other long diagonal as well. We might just be getting a normal chess setup, which is actually quite funny. Keep sprinkling bishops on the board. Rooks are also, I feel like, good pieces to use in this variant. The problem is they're worth 5 points, and bishops are only worth 3. So you get a little more bang for your buck if you just put down a whole bunch of bishops. Now the opponent insists on putting down these pawns. They might go for like a double pawn setup. I'm just assuming they're going to make a normal chessboard though, to be honest. Okay, so they are actually going for a double pawn setup. You'll also notice that because they've decided to place a whole bunch of pawns and I'm placing bishops, I'm using up my points more quickly than they are. In fact, I think the last thing I'm going to place is maybe a queen. I'm going to put her on the outskirts. No, I'm going to put her here. And this is important because I'm attacking a whole bunch of squares, which no doubt in their setup they will intend to defend. But I get to put down my king first, which means they will put down the rest of their points after I put down my king, which I will do right now. And they'll put down the rest of their points, then their own king, and then it'll come back to me, I will get to move first, which means I can capitalize on the fact that I'm, shooting lasers into their position. Is this for a vid? It sure is. Good luck. So you can see they have 27 points of material left to place. They'll go ahead and sprinkle that onto the board, drop their king down, and then it'll be my turn again. And I'll probably just start with a sacrifice of some kind. Depends a lot on where they decide to place the king as well. Ooh, okay. They still have 5 points, but they've placed their king in the center and they have 2 queens adjacent, which is interesting because this seems really safe. But I suspect this king might be a little bit choked for space right now. So any sort of sacrifice that ends in a bishop, this pawn specifically is not attacked enough, but any sacrifice that ends in a bishop staring at the king forces one of the queens to give themselves up just to allow the king to move out of the way. So I think that's exactly what I should be fishing for here. I'm going to play bishop to e4, try to get a sacrifice going on g6. Nice, we do get pawn to d5. f5 would have been kind of crushing there, but now I can sack on g6. They take, I take, pawn takes, bishop takes, puts the king in check. They have to drop the queen. They could also just not take, but then I work my way into their position, which I'm more than happy to do. Right, we get pawn to f5. Ooh, cuts off one bishop from the other. How else can I be bothersome in their position? I could take on g7 as well. And again, this is the thing about these bishops. You move anything and it creates a gap that the bishops come flying into. Like, what's a good comparison? Like a horde of wasps, I guess. I'll take this. If they take back, I'm going to go queen to g5, and I just think I have really good attacking chances there. So queen g5 targets g6. Queen to f7 is the only way that I see to defend that. And then I just have to figure out how I'm going to bring even more pieces into the attack. I have a lot of dark squared bishops, and I only have 3 light squared bishops left. So I'd like to try and use them up evenly. Okay, we do get d6. I think they're not even bothering to defend. I think their plan is, should I take, they're just going to play king to d7 and just book it. Book it out of this horrible situation on the king side, which is fair. So my goal, in theory, is to not let them do that. But how? Okay, I'm going to start by taking on g6. Free material is free material every day of the week. I think they're also hoping to maybe unleash the rest of their pieces, which is unfortunately kind of terrifying for me. Okay, I'm going to play bishop to h3. I don't know if this is too slow. And I'm also kind of looking to sacrifice another light squared bishop, which will leave me with only 2 and then a whole bunch of dark squared bishops, which is definitely an imbalance. But I'm hoping that I can maybe make something of this attack. I haven't really calculated if there's a follow through there. Pawn to e6 just stops the check. Maybe I should be looking to sacrifice over here, but on the dark squares. That might actually be pretty effective. Okay, let me reroute this queen. I'm going to play queen back to d2. Weirdly enough, I'm kind of like defended over here because these bishops act as brothers, and there's no piece that I think my opponent would be willing to sacrifice. Maybe the rook, but that's a whole bunch of moves in the making to actually wedge these bishops out so they can get an attack going on the open king side. We do get pawn to a5, interesting. And I really want to look for a breakthrough over here because the king is literally the most advanced major piece that they have right now, right? Everybody else is behind the king, so it seems natural that I should be looking for a way to break through this little wall of pawns to take advantage of that. But how? Let's go bishop d4. I kind of line up against b6, but I'm also a little bit hoping they might try and advance some of these pawns. And if I can draw them forward, I leave weak spaces behind that I can take advantage of. But no such luck. The king does just move back. King back to c8. What happens if I sack now? I don't have enough pieces to actually follow through with that. So I guess I just need reinforcements. I'm going to go here, which doesn't leave a whole bunch of support for the bishop on g7. So e5 could have been interesting there, but then I have check. They play c5 instead. Let's hit him with a little intermezzo. Bishop to a4 targets the queen. Queen comes out to h5. I don't know if this is just way too aggressive. I might just be losing my head here. But sacking here looks interesting. It literally leaves 2 bishops hanging, but it might not matter if I somehow checkmate them. So what happens if I take? A lot of brute force calculation, but takes. It's really not that convincing. But I'm going to play it anyways because it looks like fun. And it also, the funny thing about playing like this is that it does require accurate play by the opponent. So I kind of put the pressure on them. If they find a way out, awesome. If they don't, then my attack pays off and I get a little magical checkmate, which I do in fact get. That was kind of a slimy way to win that, to count on the opponent not to be able to calculate their way out of it. But hey, it did work. With that, we do have 1 victory under our belt. Let's go to move on to game number 2. All right, game number 2. Oh, Megan is a viewer. I know that for a fact. Good luck. Accidental @ symbol, but that's all right. Let's go ahead and start with the bishop strategy. I can't really think of a better strategy than spamming bishops. If you guys have a better strategy or maybe an antidote to spamming bishops, you can leave it in the comments down below. I think Megan perhaps agrees with my sentiment that bishops are just kind of OP in this variant. It's funny too, because the first time I played this, I thought that the meta would be like different setups, like a little quad setup and then a different sort of setup, like very specific combinations of pieces set up in very specific ways. But that really doesn't seem to matter all that much. It seems to matter a lot more that you just place a bunch of the same type of piece that's most effective. In this case, that's bishops. I will set up a triple battery here because I think they're intending to challenge me on these squares. Eventually, I think this will come down to who puts down queens sooner so that they get to move first when the game actually starts. Let's do this. Probably put my king back here. Okay, they keep putting down bishops. I will follow suit. I kind of feel like they're going to place their king over here because I have nothing pointing in that direction, so I should probably set something up. Right, they counter. Let's keep putting down bishops. And I did move first, so I do have the opportunity to place my queen down sooner. All right, let's place another bishop here, looking at the light squares. I want to have equal coverage, and right now I'm a little bit heavy, a little bit heavy-handed on the dark square bishops. 6 to 3, literally twice as many. So I'm going to try to put down some more light square bishops just so they have scope into the position. I'm very curious to see where they intend to place the king. I feel like it's going to get dropped on a8. I would put a bishop down on g2, but unfortunately I only have 9 points to work with anyways, and I do want to guarantee that I get to play first. So I think on the next turn I have to put down my queen. I'm going to put her down on a2 because I can get to the queen side easily. I can get into the king side easily. I was careful to put down an equal number, or at least roughly similar number of light and dark squared bishops. They seem to have gone very heavy on the dark squared bishop, so hopefully I can capitalize on those weak and light squares. Let's go maybe, I think king to b1 is fine, to be honest. King c1 might be marginally safer because I have more dark squared bishops, so we'll just, in principle, put the king on a dark square and he should be safer. All right, so I've put down everything. The opponent has 10 points of material to work with. They will put that down on the board as they see fit. They only have 7 points now, so there won't be any queens on the board. Maybe, I don't know, 2 bishops and another pawn. Maybe a rook and 2 pawns, but there won't be any queens. I will be the only one with a queen, which is quite nice. Yeah, that seems to be what they're going for, is the 2 bishops and 1 extra pawn. The king is dropped on the king side after all, but I do get to go first, which I was hoping I'd be able to take advantage of. Now, how bad are these threats? There's a lot of interactions here going on between the bishops, none of which I really feel like sitting and calculating through. I will start by taking, get this off my back, but with tempo, they do have to take back, and then it's my turn again. These light squares are so weak, like I'm very tempted to just play queen to a6 and just let them take whatever they please, and see if I can't checkmate them back here somehow. But that does feel very risky. Maybe I could take here as well? There's a lot of ways to open up the opponent's position here. Okay, I'm gonna start by trading off this tension. Maybe just trading off is better. I don't know, because I have a whole bunch of pieces in front of my king, so I'm not really afraid of anything happening to him. Okay, they do take back. Now I'm not being threatened to lose anything, because that was free. But all of these other tensions between the bishops, I don't think actually threaten anything. So, I think I can just take on f6. But I'm going to start by playing queen to a6. There's really no point in having a queen on the board for her to be performing the same function as a bishop and just staring at a pawn. So we should probably get her active, start making her play like a rook. All right, bishop does take on d3. I can throw in a little intermediate check. Again, I'm the only one with a queen, so there's never going to be anything that counters my queen on a rank in this case, or a file. Bishop does go back to defend. Does it really matter which bishop I take back with? I don't think it does, but I'm just going to take with this bishop because it looks nicer to have 5 pieces in front of my king. It makes me feel safe. Not to mention we have this little battery staring at h7. All right, ooh, king comes up to f7, which does open the possibility of sacrificing to grab e8, but then the bishop just blocks, and that's kind of useless, to be frank. What else can we do here? If I could just dig this king up from his little hiding spot, I'd be in a great place. Let's start with bishop b3, targeting e6. So queen e6 is quite an issue here for the opponent, as well as actually bishop takes e6 might be even stronger. Forces the king back. Repins the bishop. Bishop d7 puts more pressure. If the bishop defends, I just add more pieces. That looks really good for me. They do take on c3. I mean, I guess I can take back. I could also just take here with check. Oh wait, I can just take with the queen and then mate on g8. Awesome. 2-move mate. Perfect. With that, we win game number 2. Let's go to move on to game number 3. All right, game number 3, we're paired against Joseph, who's rated 1628. I do get to move first. I will drop my classic bishops on the board, and they seem to be spamming pawns. They might go for the double. This is also a setup that I see quite often, is the double row of pawns. However, I'm decently confident that my piercing bishops will be able to make light work of all of those pawns. Oh, only 1 row of pawns. Okay, so this is something I've not seen before. They're going to back it up with bishops, which is amusing. Because typically you think of the pawns as, like, you place pawns and then you put pieces in front, which are very safe because they're all very well defended. But it seems the pawns are going to be defended by the major pieces, which is very amusing. Now, I only have 9 points to work with, so we'll drop a sneaky queen on a2, and then I can just place my king. I think b1 is most safe. It's also interesting because by casting this net of pawns, there's no way they can place anything that looks at my position. Everything will be blocked off by their pawns, which might be very safe, but is an inherently defensive setup. All right, so we get a whole bunch of pawns here, so you'd imagine the king is here somewhere. Because if the king ends up here, I'm going straight for the gullet. I'm just always in the center, and they only have 7 points to work with, so I'm imagining we're getting more bishops. Yeah, and unfortunately they're going to have an odd pawn, because in this variant, you can only place pawns for white on the 2nd and 3rd, and for black on the 6th and 7th ranks. This should just be super winning for me. I'm going to start by taking on a6. Because I have all of these bishops, which are awesome because they look into the opponent's position, and the opponent has a position where they can't move anything without me looking deeper into their position. So it's almost like Zugzwang. All right, they do play pawn to e5. Now, I don't have this battery anymore because I did move the queen out of the way. But let's see, how do we break into the opponent's position? I could sack here on b6. If they take with the bishop, I take back. If they take with the pawn, I grab a8. We start to unearth this little king, and I think we're in a really good spot there. Yeah, it's really cool. And now they're not forced to take. They can play bishop c7. But then I take Maybe queen takes. Oh, this just got really interesting. Wait a second. What have I done? Can I take? Yeah, I can definitely take here, and then I have queen takes, bishop a5 comes in. It's really interesting because the bishops are kind of like my battering rams, except they also operate as lasers. So I can sacrifice them, I can laser through the position with them, I can deliver checkmate with them and win game number 3. And then the queen, oh, they offer a rematch, of course. And then the queen kind of comes in and does the handy job of actually delivering the mate. Okay, we're gonna go with the same strat again. We'll see if they repeat. They seem to intend to place all of those pawns again, which I just think that limiting your own moves from the get-go like that just gives the opponent a really big advantage, especially if your opponent is a lunatic that just intends to sacrifice anything for checkmate, which is me. Let's go ahead and place the queen. I guess it really doesn't matter. Place her anywhere. I also think their king placement was a little bit unfortunate. All right, so again, I do get to move first because I put down all of my points first. So the opponent will finish placing their pieces, put down their king, and then I get to start my rambunctious attack. Okay, king on g1. I think they did a better job with the king placement this time. They have 13 points. If they don't defend g3, I'm going in, but they do. Oh, they drop a queen this time. My queen has met her match, which means they only have 4 points left to play with, and now a pawn that will probably land on h2. Yeah, that makes sense. All right, we do get to move first. How do we capitalize on this funky little laser situation that we've set up? Let's just start with something like bishop to f5. I don't see any immediate captures that are super effective. Okay, I'm gonna be honest, I was kind of baiting this. Again, when you have all of these bishops looking into the opponent's position, any move creates weaknesses. Now the question is, can I sack here, or is that just totally insane? Takes, they really can't take because I have bishop takes g2, which is weirdly enough checkmate. So ultimately, it would be sacrificing a bishop for 2 pawns in order to open up their position, which I think I'm happy to do. So they definitely can't take. Oh, they can't really do that either. Bishop takes g2. Oh, wait, is not checkmate because f4 cuts off my bishop. That was a nice little plan. I gotta hand it to them. That was a nice little idea. I did not see that. Okay, now what to do? I want to get rid of the fact that this bishop is under fire, and they would actually be able to take with check, but without losing the tempo. So I'm gonna take, which forces them to take back, which means then it's my turn again. And then hopefully I can make something of this queen. I think she needs to just do like a pretty simple lift and just actually get into the game. So what would happen if I played something like queen to a5? e4, probably trying to trap this bishop. Oh, I actually have a chance to create an imbalance here. I can play bishop to f3, which I quite like, because I just noticed they only have 2 light squared bishops left. And if I can get rid of one more, the other one will be stuck behind this pawn structure until it does like some big reroute. So that means I can go and play on the light squares. I'll start with queen to a5. Queen to h5 is the specific light square that I'm talking about. King goes back, and then checkmate again on a weakened light square. Nice, we do have check. Oh, I guess bishop h4 sacks, and then f2 becomes an escape square, but there we go, nice. Queen to h1 is in fact checkmate, and with that we do win 4 games. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy this video, please consider liking and subscribing. Leave in the comments down below if you have any setups that you think I should try. I really think just spamming bishops is incredibly powerful in this variant, but if you have other setups that you'd like to see me try or that you think are particularly effective, definitely let me know down in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.